That's why we have sauces. That's why we have so many seasonings. That's why wars were fought over spices. We fought wars. People invaded countries for spices. That's how much humans like flavor. Welcome to the Bacon, Bibles, and Barbells podcast. I'm Coach Justin, joined by Coach Emily and Coach Amanda. And today we are going to talk about the 5 factors of food drive, because that just worked really well for a caption. So first we're going to talk about what food drive is, though, and kind of define it. It does get talked about a little bit on the internet, which is the best place to talk about things if you want really informed, free opinions. So you're going to get another one today. But we do have, obviously, a lot of experience with this. I think what a lot of people think coaches do is write plans and just give them to people and they just follow them. If it was that easy, everyone would do it.
ChatGPT could do it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So a lot of helping someone with their diet goes beyond just giving them macro targets or maybe a diet plan or something like that. A lot of it goes into actually trying to help people with the way they think about food, the way they think about a lot of lifestyle factors. This is not a discussion on what to eat. In fact, we're not really going to talk about macros, probably not very much. We're not going to talk about getting your fiber in. It's not that kind of discussion. It's more psychologically and physiologically what manipulates your ability to be just more compliant with a good diet, and sort of also what factors are keeping you from being off track, which is what we're going to talk about, I think, mostly right now as we discuss food drive, which is your desire for food. So obviously we get a lot of people overeating in America. If you don't believe me, go to Walmart. You'll find out. So Amanda, what are some of the factors behind food drive we often see in people, especially if they're struggling with losing weight, binging, those types of things?
Yeah, so to try to define food drive a little bit, this is not the same thing as appetite. Appetite is sort of part of it, but it's almost like food motivation, or like you said, food desire. So you can have a low appetite and a high food drive. You're not physically hungry. You might not have an appetite I need food right now, but you want it. This is the people who struggle with being really snacky. You have a high food drive. It's something that you do when you're bored. It's something that you've been conditioned to do for stress. Just having a high food drive. And that's where a lot of people struggle when they're trying to reduce their calories, is they are full. They have satiated their hunger, but there's still an urge to keep reaching into the chip bag or go find something else to eat, something like that. So there's also people who have low food drive. You can even have a low food drive and have an appetite. So you're actually hungry, but there's just not really a motivation to eat anything.
That's me a lot.
Yeah, it just doesn't sound like something fun to do, to eat food. Yeah. You just don't want to chew.
Even when I'm hungry sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it can vary. It can be different from appetite. A lot of it is taught, when you're young, or what you pick up, not necessarily being taught specifically, but things that you pick up from your environment of how you deal with stress. What do you do when you're bored? What do you do when you get together? What do you do when when you're alone? That a lot of that is behaviors and habits that can be picked up when you're pretty young, that continue into adulthood. And there could also be some ghrelin, leptin signaling that's off. So that's what tells you when you're hungry and tells you when you're full. It's exactly what GLP-1 agonists mess with.
Yeah.
So
one of the main things they're manipulating is helping you reduce ghrelin.
Yeah. So there's a lot that has to do with food drive, that and how you've taught your body to recognize those signals.
Right.
Yeah, I think a way to define it could even be how you respond to hunger signaling and satiation signaling. You may be desensitized to being satiated, and you may be hypersensitive to hunger signaling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just like you can be like, insulin sensitive and insulin resistant. I think some people wind up hypersensitive to ghrelin, basically,
Yeah.
which often I think coincides with a lack of insulin sensitivity. Part of it is because of the lack of stability of blood glucose and insulin levels.
Right. And I do think it's part nature, part nurture, because some
Yeah.
people, like, if you have multiple children, you'll probably just see that, or multiple friends, even. It's just like some people are just going to be more drawn or motivated by food, but it shouldn't be, taken to those extreme levels. Like, it should be, say everything else was created equal. I think some people genetically will just have like a slightly more motivation for food than others, or maybe
Yeah.
even just slightly. It's just preference. Like you
Yeah.
just prefer food and eating, the act of eating more than other
Yeah.
people. But nurture definitely plays a big role. I would probably say a bigger role than the genetic and preferential aspect.
I think today, yes.
Today, yeah.
Yeah. I think part of that is, so like 100 years ago, even if you had a really big food drive, most people couldn't afford to eat that much.
True.
Like you couldn't
Yeah.
actually afford to be obese. It was too expensive. It was actually like not a, normal person's, common man's ability to like getting fat would have been really hard.
That, and there was a lot of food preparation with it was not grab and go. You
Yeah.
had to actually
Yes.
make it. So that,
Yeah.
effort to
Labor and money.
Get to
we're
eat. Yeah.
barriers. Yeah.
True.
Yeah. And I think that is that is part of how, like, so after you have generations that have that easy availability and that low cost, then that means that you can have that's why we didn't have it before as far as the like nature aspect. But then you have a couple generations of cheap, highly available, quick food that's like tastes really good if you're super snacky. Then you move into generations that I think have elevated food drive as much from nurture as anything else, because they may have grown up in an environment where it was normative to like eat your stress at the end of the day, and like you finish the day, so like you reward yourself with snacking. It's like kind of a feast every evening kind of thing, and like you have your dinner and there's soda and there's always dessert, and then people just sort of like snack and graze through the evening, and that sort of thing is like a comfort type of behavior. And you couldn't do that before. And then so once these things become more, these foods become more integrated into our society and the barriers are removed, then you can have whole generations that become nurtured into behaving this way, I think, whereas you couldn't really have that before.
Yeah. I think a lot of this is actually something my mother-in-law pointed out to me. She, after babysitting, my kids, my nieces, the kids of our generation, as opposed to how her own kids were raised, is that she actually noticed that there's a lot more grazing that our kids do. They used to have, like, you sit down for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, try to stay out of the kitchen between that, but you have bigger meals. The way that she raised her kids, and her friends raised their kids, and then in our generation, our kids are grazing a little bit more throughout the day. So I think there's kind of a plus and a minus to that. If you have good foods available for them to snack on, they may very well be very attuned to their hunger and their satiety signals. But if you have ultra processed, highly palatable foods on hand, then they're not learning that control. So there's some good parts and bad parts to that. Because children's stomachs are small, maybe just the 3 meals a day model wasn't the best for them, but maybe they also get better food choices by doing that, sitting down for family meals more often. So there's, it's interesting that she pointed that out to me. It's not something I would have even noticed because, I just didn't think about it. So.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, there is a natural component to food drive as well. Like, I was thinking of this because we're reading as a family right now a book about a ship crew that got stranded in Antarctica. And there's a part in one of the chapters where he talks about the ship goes down, they're like stranded on this iceberg sort of thing. And, so they're rationing everything, right?
Yeah.
They're just like very, very careful with their food. And the guy that's writing the book, he's very, very kind of poetic sometimes in the way he says things. But he says something about like all the men thought about all the time was food. They didn't eat the food because they were trying to ration and be super careful. But I was like, oh man, like almost none of us have been in that state where like, that's the kind of food drive like your body does like in its natural state, because it's like, please eat, please eat, please eat. You're going to die.
It's pretty much just bodybuilders by choice.
I was about to say sounds a whole lot like prep. I do think about food a lot.
Yeah. But for most people, like we just don't even know what that's like. The food drive for us is more like, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I mean, survival. Even when I'm losing weight, at normal people amounts, it's not, I don't think about it much. Although, water cut weeks, I do. That is a little tough, but for the most part, I think people, it's more the opposite. So let's get into some of the factors and talk about how they can both psychologically and physiologically impact food drive very directly. So first going to be sleep, both quantity and quality. So there's been a lot of studies that I've seen on the topic of actually sleep and diet compliance. It's just hard to be compliant with a diet if you're not sleeping. You're more hungry. And one of those reasons is I think, and I don't think this has been linked explicitly in clinical study, but we know two things. When you don't get enough sleep, your insulin sensitivity reduces. Even if you have great insulin sensitivity normally, but you have one night where you get 4 to 5 hours or even less of sleep, you're basically pre-diabetic the next day. You have very reduced insulin sensitivity that day, and that's just how it's going to be. We also know that if you have low insulin sensitivity, you're going to tend to be more hungry, probably from higher ghrelin levels, probably because of the lack of insulin sensitivity. So that's definitely a component there. But the other thing is, like, how much willpower do you think you have on a tired day versus a well-rested day? Those are the days you don't feel like going to the gym. Those are the days that you don't feel like doing anything productive, basically. And so I think it has both a physiological and a psychological component. And this is the insidious thing for bodybuilders too, is like, as you get super duper lean and you're eating nothing, you don't sleep well. Sleep is like one of the biggest challenges when you get really lean, and you're going to bed on an empty stomach and your stomach's growling and you're hungry. And so you don't sleep as much and you're really hungry. So it makes it very difficult. Obviously, that's not what most people are doing, but I do think that sleep component is an often overlooked piece of the puzzle for a lot of people. So a lot of people are they're staying up too late watching Netflix.
Yep.
And the question I'd ask someone that feels like that's really a really important thing for them to do is this worth it if it makes you die 5 years earlier? Are you going to look back and be like, I'm really glad I watched that show or those 10 shows over your lifetime?
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe they've done studies where the only component that they changed was how many hours of sleep people were getting. That was the only control, like they let people go on with the rest of their days and whatever. And I think they went from, people that got only 5 or 6 hours of sleep to a consistent 8 or more, was the thing that they changed. And I think they did it for 8 to 12 weeks. And the people that got more sleep lost weight. And it's not because they put them on a diet. And it's also not because anything magical happened, but I think it was just a combination of what Justin just mentioned of like, you feel better. So you have more self-control during the day, but you also have less food drive, like, because you need to like soothe that tiredness. Your body's not like searching for more energy like all day long. So it's like, just by adding that quality sleep component, you give yourself a big help if you're somebody that struggles with food drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that people know deep down that they need to do something about their sleep, but there's just like no motivation to actually change it.
Yeah, it's so true. And I know it now, like, because I started noticing the last couple of years, we've just had like more travel, more different stuff going on where we've had more specifically like early mornings where Justin's had to leave to the airport at 2 a.m. or something like that, or I've had to drive him, or, so we're sometimes we're just getting less sleep than we would the past couple of years. And I totally started noticing like those days, I just want to eat carbs. Like, so I had to like, once that clicked, I was like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen today. I'm going to want to just like eat all the potatoes and all the rice and all the everything else. And I might crave a Pop-Tart later. And just like, but once you're aware of it, you can prepare your mind as far as like what to do about it when it comes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone's going to have a bad night's sleep once in a while. But if you know that it changes the way the next day is as far as your food drive, then you can be a little more proactive about that.
Yeah, it's that knowing is half the battle, I guess. Yeah. It's kind of true in this case. Like, if you know that you're going to struggle with it that day and you're just, that reality is present and you're mindful of it, that will help because you expect like, oh, I'm going to deal with this. And if you don't sleep as much for a night, you have an early morning or a late night, expect it. You're pretty much going to be more hungry the next day. For most people,
you don't have to let it cascade down into a series of bad decisions, just like some people do. Like, I had a donut for breakfast. The rest of the day is screwed. I might as well just eat trash.
Might as well eat 5.
And people do that. People do that all the time. So if you just don't let that happen, like catch that when you notice yourself doing that and say, oh, well, actually, instead, I'm going to make better decisions on purpose.
Let's try to stay around.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just preparing yourself mentally for that to be a reality on those days is particularly helpful. And as far as the regularity of your bedtime, like just go to bed at the same time every night and make sure it's early enough. A lot of people think like, oh, I'm good on 5 hours of sleep. No, you're not.
No.
Like, there are some people that is genuinely true. I will say this. I have known a bunch of people who made that claim, and almost none of them was it true, because every time they'd go on vacation, they would sleep for like 3 days solid, and then they could actually like enjoy the vacation. So that means that's not you. So if you're someone that says that, and then you go on vacation or whatever, and you feel like you could just sleep all the time, or if you're someone that feels like you could sleep at any time during the day, you're not supposed to be able to sleep just because you lay down during the day. Yeah. Like, you shouldn't be actually capable of taking a nap during the day or even feel like you really want to. That is a sleep issue for most people. And the quality of the rest of your life will be better if you just get sleep. And it affects everything too. It's not just your hunger signaling. Almost every Western disease is basically like made worse or starts from metabolic disease. Mm-hmm. And like sleep is a big piece of that. Obviously diet and other lifestyle factors, but if you don't have sleep, what's the point? All of your hormone production, everything happens while you sleep, like including all the circadian signaling need to happen if you get adequate sleep at the same time, at the right time. Go to bed at the same time. For most people, you do need 8 hours of sleep. And if you're having trouble falling asleep and stuff like that, then watch our sleep hygiene episode. Maybe we should revisit the topic again. But that is a whole other subject that does really matter. Like, if you're not falling asleep, there are probably things that you can change that will make significant improvements. I have to be like very particular about that because I'm just really sensitive to basically not being able to fall asleep. And so like, so maybe we should revisit that one sometime in the near future. Yeah. Because like I have had a lot of trouble falling asleep over the years for various reasons. And there's pretty much always something you can do that will fix it.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's move on. We beat the sleep horse. Processed foods. Why would a processed food make it so that I have higher food drive? Because I'm eating, so I should have less food drive.
I know.
That's what they're designed to do. They are made for you to buy more and eat more of them. So, yeah, these are usually going to be things that are high salt, high fat, high carb. Not that high carb is bad, but when you combine it in the right way, I'm thinking like potato chips here, for example, like That's very easy to overeat. Because the volume of them, especially the way they're dehydrated, isn't like actually filling your stomach that much with a lot of these things. Same with things like candy or sweets, anything like that. They're not actually big foods. They're calorie dense. So they're taking up very little space in your stomach when you're eating them. Which, if you have whole foods of the same calorie amount, it's going to be a large plate. Compared to chips or a donut that's, not very large, but still filling you up. And the combination of the salt, the fats, the things that are fried, it's designed to make you eat more. I mean, that's what our bodies sought out. If we, not to use the caveman example, because everybody does that, but really, like, they would pound some of that down. It would be a gold mine if they found some of the food that we have today. Because their bodies would tell them this will make you survive. So that's why it's easy to overeat those things. But
we're not in feast and famine mode in the United States for not most people.
No,
I think a couple of the common threads around processed foods that are particularly insidious, I would say, are they're dried out, so like the things you are eating, there's no moisture in it, so it's not going to be very filling, because one of the filling things about whole foods is they have a lot of water in them, and it just makes you feel full. And if they are not dry, they're often softer or whatever, because they have really high fat content. So you've got chips or you've got ice cream. Like, those are like both examples of these things. And it's just going to be, these are highly calorie dense, and they're not offering you much nutritional value, because it's basically like just carbs and, and sugar and maybe some fats or a lot of fats. But because they're so processed, there's not really much else in them that's your body's going to do anything with. You're not getting significant vitamins and minerals and things like that. The oils that are in them, like potato chips, probably rancid oils, like all those like crispy things, they're all really inflammatory. And it's not because of the carbs. A lot of people want to say it's because of the carbs, like especially the keto and carnivore people. Yeah, carbs are pro-inflammatory, but not really that inherently. So it's actually usually like in potato chips, it's mostly the fats, because it's fried in rancid fats. And so, like, if you feel like you're bloated after eating potato chips, it's because of those fats just being junk fats that are probably cooked, like that day they cooked 50 batches in the same oil or whatever, and they're all rancid, and your body has to really work hard to break those down.
Yeah. And I don't know, you guys can let me know what you think, because people love to throw around the like, sugar is more addictive than cocaine, stuff like that. I don't really buy that down that rabbit hole quite so much, but there does seem to be something to be said for sugar if you've made it a regular habit.
Well, I've tried sugar, but I've never tried cocaine. So. If anybody has any they want to send me, though, maybe I would.
Don't do it.
I don't trust any studies that say anything about how addictive things are, honestly.
Right. Yeah.
Because they also say that nicotine's addictive, and it's actually the act of cigarette smoking is highly addictive. The act of dipping is highly addictive. And in fact, I would even say using nicotine pouches is highly addictive, but it's because of the action of doing so. Because I have stopped these for a month at a time or more sometimes. I don't get the shakes or whatever you're supposed to get when you stop. I miss it because I love nicotine, but I'm physically just as capable and I'm fine. So, maybe.
I mean, a lot of it's just chasing these hits of dopamine. Like gambling is not an actual substance. That's something that's addictive,
Yeah.
We'll get wrapped into that. So, I mean, anything that you make a habit of can be addictive.
It's a behavior addiction.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a behavior habit type of addiction. And you can be addicted to sugar. I don't think it's like a super chemical addiction. Now, there is a little component of that probably. I mean, it's the dopamine chasing, yes. Mm-hmm. If you are overdoing it, you have a bad diet, in general, you're not getting enough sleep and all these other things, you're going to have a lack of insulin sensitivity. You're going to run more hungry in general than other people. And when you eat those processed foods, you tend to have less stable blood sugar anyway. And people that have low insulin sensitivity will also have less stable blood sugar anyway, therefore just more hunger signaling. So there is a chemical signaling component to this, I think, that does make sugar particularly addictive, especially if you're someone that's compromised in your metabolic health. So to that, I would kind of say a soft yes, but I can't compare it to cocaine. Like I just think some of those comparisons are silly because it's like, well, probably a lot of people have tried cocaine and didn't really care for it.
I mean, it's a shock value statement. It's clickbait.
But there's a bunch of people that have tried cocaine and it killed them because they knew it was bad for them and they kept doing it.
Right.
And the same can be said of sugar, but like, is it worse? Well, I don't know, because you can buy sugar at Walmart. You can't buy cocaine at Walmart. Right. So like availability does change the equation.
Yeah. And it's like when you come off alcohol, like it's actually dangerous if you've been drinking a ton to just come off. You're supposed to like go through detox in a hospital.
Alcohol, I think, is actually one of the most addictive substances.
Yeah.
You can't come off. Like you can't just come off of alcohol. You can just come off of sugar. Right. You can come off of, I think, most of the like hard drugs and stuff. It really sucks, but like you don't die. If you're a real alcoholic who's binge drinking every day, you will die if you just stopped drinking alcohol. Every emergency room has bottles of vodka somewhere because of people that are experiencing alcohol withdrawal symptoms and they go to the hospital because they know something's wrong. The only way to save their lives is to give them a bottle of vodka and say, I need you to chug this right now. That's the only way to stabilize them. They don't have a drug for it. That is literally what happens. And actually, a lot of counselors also have it for the same reasons, depending on the nature, like substance abuse counselors and stuff, because like it saves lives. Anyway. All that to say, like, yeah, alcohol is the main thing that people should be worried about being addicted to. If you're drinking alcohol regularly, like that'll get you, because coming off can be horrible. Along with, honestly, I think there are more prescription drugs that are far more problematic. But anyway. My name is Justin Johnson with High Calling Fitness. Maybe you're tired, gaining weight, waking up with joint pain, back pain, and a body that just doesn't feel like it used to. You've tried to fix it, but nothing seems to last. What if you don't need another app or crash diet, but a real coach, someone to meet you where you're at and walk with you step by step? At High Calling Fitness, our coaching comes to you wherever you are. No matter where you live, small town or city, across the country or across the world, your health still matters. You don't have to go it alone. We build personalized plans based on your goals, your schedule, and your equipment, even if it's just a set of dumbbells in a small space. This isn't just training, it's a personal partnership. You'll get weekly updates, one-on-one access to your coach, and ongoing support through Zoom and Slack every step of the way. We're here to help you build strength, restore energy, and claim the life you were meant to live. Book a free consult today. Let's talk about your goals and see how we can build something better together. High Calling Fitness, built for the everyday, ready for the extraordinary. Processed foods and food choices. The more you're eating them, the more likely you are to struggle with a food drive issue. If you have a food drive issue, it's not just the macros. Yes, you could, even though we know it'd be too inflammatory, you're not going to get the nutrients, blah, blah, blah. You could be a skinny person eating a bunch of processed food. Yes, you'd be less healthy for a lot of reasons, but one thing you'd probably particularly struggle with is food drive. And if you're someone who's trying to lose weight and get healthier, one of the first things you should do is just cut out processed foods in general, because your food drive will be positively impacted.
Yeah.
One of the things that I hear a lot from people who are getting off of processed foods and trying to lean toward more whole foods is that everything tastes bland. So if that's you, if you're trying to stop the processed foods, then just put a little extra salt on your real food. It'll help.
Yeah.
It'll taste a little better to you, a little more like home. So,
Honestly, I think that is a not knowing how to eat good whole foods issue, because you're just not used to preparing whole foods that taste good.
yeah.
You're not used to it. So like that is a seasoning, salt, and sauce issue. That's why we have sauces. That's why we have so many seasonings. That's why wars were fought over spices. We fought wars. People invaded countries for spices. That's how much humans like flavor. And if you're making some food or whatever else and it doesn't have seasoning in it and you didn't put some salt in it, well, yeah, it's probably going to be bland. Because I love eating whole foods. We pretty much only eat whole foods. But they have a lot of seasoning, they have a lot of salt, and we use sauces very liberally. But that's the different aspect of it is no one's going to do it for you. You kind of got to figure it out. You got to try things, figure out what tastes good. I think the food we eat tastes really good. And honestly, the better you get at making those whole foods, the less you care about processed foods. There were processed foods I used to love to eat years and years ago. But as we changed our diet, I actually just don't care that much. I like the texture variety is nice to have some chips or something, but I don't. And in fact, I've entirely lost my taste for some things. I used to love Cheetos. Now I think they're disgusting. I think
was
they
about
taste.
to bring Cheetos up. My son wanted Cheetos yesterday, like the Cheeto Puffs. So I had a couple, and I was like, I don't like.
Yeah.
It's not even.
I
Yeah,
want this.
the texture's weird. They don't taste very good. I used to love Mountain Dew. I tried to drink a Mountain Dew. Was this 3 or 4 years ago? We were somewhere. There's Mountain Dew, and I was like, "Hey, it's been so many years. I'll try one." I used to love this stuff. I couldn't finish the can. It tasted like chemicals. Your taste can change. You have to get through that period of learning how to prepare food that actually tastes good. Because if you make chicken and rice, and your only ingredients were chicken and rice. Nobody likes that.
That's going to be hard to swallow. Yeah.
Guess what all the bodybuilders are doing to get down in weight? They're finding all the seasoning they can that is not actual calories, and they're dumping it on there to give it some variety and some flavor. I have chicken and rice for lunch every day, as Emily is my witness. But I also have chunks of pineapple in there. I've got a bunch of onion in there, and she usually has some sort of sauce that she marinated it in. And it tastes really, really good. But if it was just a slab of chicken breast and
Chicken breast.
right, well, whatever, thigh, who cares? Or fine if it's just a slab of chicken thigh on rice. Nobody wants to eat that. That's disgusting.
No,
it is. You'd at least want
gross.
some barbecue sauce on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good. I use this when I'm on prep because food can get really boring. There's so many good 0-calorie sauces out there too. Seasoning doesn't have anything extra in it other than flavor. So you just use as much as you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I tell a lot of clients too is use sauces. Just watch, because a lot of have sugar in them, but unless you're really trying to get your weight way down there, throwing some barbecue sauce on something or some ketchup is fine. A lot of people discover that they
ketchup
actually
is gross, but okay.
That's a weird flex, but okay.
French fries.
So gross. Anthony makes fun of me because I'm it is the devil's condiment to me.
That's so strange. But a lot of people discover that they actually like mustard, good mustard, good quality mustard is good on quite a few things. But also that whole spice area in the grocery store that maybe you haven't visited before, there's a reason why every grocery store has 200 spices or more that they're selling. And guess what? They sell them. That they wouldn't take up aisle space if they weren't so popular. And they're cheap. So that's a great way to just figure it out. And the other thing too is online recipes. There's a lot of online recipes that are pretty good. They don't season their food enough. It's all bland food. Plan on doubling whatever seasoning or whatever being used for flavor. If there's curry, paste in it, double the curry paste. If it says use this much pepper, double the pepper. This much salt, double, triple, or quadruple the salt. That's what it takes to make food good.
Or marinate your meat ahead of time. That's always a good trick.
Big difference. Yeah. Yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah. Even if you just marinate it in like teriyaki sauce in a Ziploc bag the day before you cook it, that, or just plain barbecue sauce. It's going to be 1,000 times better than if you try to get away with like just sprinkling some salt and pepper after you pulled it off the grill. Because that is gross. I wouldn't want to eat whole foods that way. So, like, develop a taste for the finer things in life. That's what I'm saying. Because the thing is, like, you will not be very tempted by processed foods, though, if you do this for a while. I have lost almost all of my taste for processed foods. I don't have I like peanut butter M&Ms are like the best candy in the world. I'll eat like 5 of them, and I'm just like, no, that was great. 10 years ago, I could like go to town on a bag.
Yeah.
But I just I don't really, it's like, oh, that was nice. I scratched the itch. It's not that good. But what I really love is like a well-made steak. But it's taken us years to figure out like how to make a really good steak and how to like make chicken taste good and all of these other things. So develop a taste for these things, find out what you like, and you'll find you don't care about the other stuff because you've made it so good. And that is and that's the learning curve. It takes years.
Yeah.
It took you years to learn how to eat crap. Don't expect to unlearn it in a month.
Right.
Yep. Very, very true.
All right. Sunlight exposure and exercise, but not just exercise, getting hot.
Like sweating, huh?
Yeah. Like getting, like your core temperature goes up. You actually get hot. That actually is a significant appetite reduction for the rest of the day if you get hot. Some people, like bodybuilders, I know, have, in fact, that's why Dorian Yates, if you see pictures of him training, he's wearing like heavy sweatpants and sweatshirt and stuff like that. He would do his whole workout that way because he thought it would help him eat less. And there's actually, now we know there's science behind that. There is less hunger signaling when you get hot at some point during the day. So when you train, it could behoove you to keep the layers on until you're very uncomfortably hot for a while. And then if you want to take the sweatshirt off after a bit, that's fine. But like get at least to the point where you're sweating, like you're actually sweating. Then if you want, you don't have to die for the whole workout, but at least get hot for a few minutes, like really hot, like uncomfortably hot. That helps. And the sunlight exposure helps very directly. There's a bunch of chemical signaling that occurs that that does actually help with this. I've noticed that even when we go down to Cancun to like a resort or something, I mean, I'm not super hungry all the time anyway, but when we're there, I am hungry at mealtime, but it does not take a lot to satiate me. Like I lose weight when we go down there, even with all the drinking, drinking all the calories that I do. Like I just don't care to eat. And I notice in the summer, I'm less hungry. A lot of people have probably noticed, like if you work outside, in the summer, especially if you're in a warm climate, you're not hungry. You might get really hungry at dinner time once you cool off, but that's a lot of time spent that that hunger signaling was reduced. And this is also part of why people in cold climates, especially in the winter, there's a whole lot of reasons too, because you're inside and, life sucks and whatever else. But you just don't get hot. You never get hot. And so like you never have that counter signaling against eating. So let yourself get hot. It is really important. It doesn't have to be every day, but it sure be better if you did. And if
you'll probably drink more water that way too, because you're wanting to cool off, and then that's going to fill you up a little bit, and you won't want as much food.
Yeah, it's just good.
Yeah,
good for you. And the sunlight exposure, even in the winter, does seem to reduce appetite. Like especially like when we'll sometimes go. There's a Mount Baker in Washington is by us. We'll go out there on the weekend sometimes when it's a really sunny Saturday, and we'll spend a few hours sledding and hiking around and stuff. And you would think you'd be hungry because you were been cold, you've been out, and
moving a lot.
Yeah, that sort of thing. And usually we're just not very hungry after. And I think it's a mix of the outdoor exposure and the sunlight exposure and the cold exposure. And you come home and you're just like, oh, I could have a little sandwich, I guess. You know, you would think that you'd be really hungry. But...
And a sauna is a good way to do this too, by the way.
Oh, that's true.
If you have a sauna or access to a sauna, or if you can buy one, get one. There are a lot of benefits to saunas, but one of them actually can be helping you with diet compliance very directly.
Yeah, there are really some good cheap options on Amazon for those nowadays too. So
be
if you
careful.
do want one at home.
Yeah, just be careful with the infrared ones. Some of those emit a lot of microwaves, and you're literally like nuking yourself.
Good point.
So there's actually a YouTube channel. I can't remember what it is right now. There's a guy that basically goes around with a meter and he tests them, like all the budget ones and stuff. Just see if you can find something that's been checked, because some of those emit a ton of microwave radiation. And like I've actually seen people online talk about how they like develop tendinitis and other things like that from using them. So just be cautious is all I'm saying. I'm kind of at a point where I'm just like, infrared's really good for you, but I'd really make sure to check on it. And one thing that's always safe is just getting the ones that just have a heater in them, like a coil heater or something. So I just caution people with that. People ask me semi-regularly about infrared heaters. I'm like, just make sure you found one that somebody tested.
And you can take a hot bath too. If you like, that's a good option. That actually can help you sleep better if you do that.
Yeah,
it can.
If you time that right.
And hot tubs aren't bad either. I think that can be a good way to do it too. I just think hot tubs tend to get gross. So hop in there every day and you're sweating. It's just like,
that's what the chlorine.
That's what all the chemicals are for.
It does. Yeah, but all the oils and fats from your skin, where are they going?
Yeah, floating on top of the water.
Yeah.
Don't care. Still love them.
Yeah. Get a sauna. Saunas are superior.
Okay, I cannot like ketchup if you don't like hot tubs. So we can have weird things. Let the people have.
Yeah, but my thing is because it's gross.
That's my thing.
No, like germ gross. Like
True.
Biologically gross.
Yeah.
I don't know. I should look up a YouTube on testing the hot tub water, but I don't want to know. No, when we go to Airbnbs and there's a hot tub, you can see everybody's oil floating on the top.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works. Yeah. So I think they're a little gross. But anyway, get hot, get warm. Yep. That really does help. Go for a run if you're into running. Do some vigorous cardio. However you want to do it, it can be useful. Protein intake. So we are going to talk about a macro a little bit, but really what this comes down to is protein's really satiating. A lot of what can be part of food drive and hunger and signaling in general is you're just not getting enough protein. Mm-hmm. And your body just says, we need to eat. But your body doesn't tell you what to eat, right? It just says eat. Well, what it's actually telling you is you didn't get enough protein today, you need to get more. And if you undereat protein, you will get really, really hungry. Mm-hmm. I even noticed this, and you even like don't feel good. So like when I compete, like any competition day, all you need while you're competing is carbs and water and salt, right? You don't need protein. You're not going to build muscle that day. The next day for recovery, you might, but on the day, for performance purposes, on paper, you really should just need to have a bunch of carbs and water, salt, that kind of thing. But what I have found for myself and like everyone I work with, you need to have at least one serving of protein, or you just start feeling just tired and you run out of gas. And usually what I have people do is like have a sandwich or a burger in the middle of the day. And that usually takes care. Like we're only talking, this is going to be like 20 to 30 grams of protein. It's not a whole lot. Mm-hmm. But like you just kind of have to, or else like you can't have none. You're just not going to feel good. And protein has that effect. We do obviously recommend 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein, of lean body weight. So your ideal self, if you will. But if you're not getting enough, and you're going to have a ton of hunger signaling. That's due to, one, just lack of blood sugar stability, probably because the other macros you're eating are not doing you any favors in that department. But it's like if you don't eat enough, you're just going to be hungry. And by the way, a lot of pregnant women, we see this a lot. When you're pregnant, the main macro you should add is protein, because you're building another human. And so if you're like all the women that are like, well, I got back down to my pre-pregnancy weight, but I didn't look the same. That's because you lost a bunch of muscle, gave it to the baby, basically is what happened. And so, yes, you weigh the same, but your body composition is skewed now because you didn't have enough protein and probably didn't exercise to stimulate keeping the muscle that you had. And that is exactly what's going on there. And if you particularly struggled with food cravings and other things like that, oftentimes it's inadequate protein and salt. And sometimes hydration too. But protein's going to go high when you're pregnant, very, very high. That is really, if you just add protein to your regular diet, that's probably about all you need. Like if every woman out there added 50 grams of protein per day and then ate the same, you'd have enough to make a baby.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's almost exactly accurate.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I just had this thought before. Yeah, like, and that is literally just like half a pound of ground beef. There you go.
I mean, I always try to tackle protein first because people just so much undereat it. But that's something that I've noticed, like when traveling and stuff. It's easy to grab, quick carby, fatty snacks when you're traveling, and then come to find out you're wanting to stop and get some more not that long later.
You just get so hungry. Yeah,
if you get like beef jerky instead, I've noticed for myself, like I can go way longer without wanting something else for a while, like just getting some protein or get a protein shake or something like that. I know for some like you, Justin, protein shake is going to make you hungry a little quicker, but things like beef jerky are great.
Yeah, so I'll do jerky, but if I have like the protein shake with like some fruit, it's fine. So that's what I usually do. So like if I go to a gas station because I'm on the road, I'll usually seek out a protein shake and maybe like dried fruit, or like maybe some nuts, or like if there's sun chips, like one of those little bags of sun chips, I might do that, something along those lines. And then it's fine for me. But yeah, like almost every gas station has protein shakes, by the way, now. So like,
yeah, good ones.
Yeah. Like they have Fairlife protein shakes are in almost every gas station that I go to all over the country. So you don't have excuses when you're on the road anymore.
Right.
Like there's protein shake within minutes of where you are at any one time, pretty much. So that's, it's the like, oh, I was traveling, I couldn't eat right, blah, blah, blah. Like, come on. You could get a protein shake and then like, fine, go to McDonald's and get the salad.
Yeah.
There you go. Like that's actually a fine meal, and it doesn't have a bunch of like, not a bunch of like what we'd call highly processed. Yes, the protein shake is processed. I get it, but Fairlife is mostly just filtering milk anyway. So like, yeah.
Yeah, and it really, if you just prioritize the protein on any meal or snack that you eat, it's going to keep you more satiated. It's going to keep you from eating too much of the other things that are available to eat. And just that alone, it's going to keep you from craving things, which that's where, if you're craving things all the time, that already signals that your food drive's pretty high. But it's probably also signaling, like you said about the pregnancy cravings. This is cravings for anybody. It's also signaling that like there's not some satiety signal happening. Yeah. And it's usually protein.
Sometimes I'll give ladies that are snackers, I'll give them the rule of like, you're not allowed to eat unless you can get 20 grams of protein in. Because by the time you get that amount in, you're more satiated. You're not going to eat the other stuff that's in front of you anyway.
It also shows that you're not actually hungry.
Yeah, and it shows like that you didn't actually need what you thought.
It's more like it's more of a food drive thing, not actual hunger too. It's a good filter. Yeah.
Yeah. I've also heard it said that like, oh, our hunger signaling is so weak nowadays that we're actually thirsty whenever it seems like we're hungry. So drink a glass of water first. I don't know how true it is that like our hunger and thirst signals are mixed up. You're probably thirsty too because everyone doesn't drink enough water. But maybe you do both. Have a protein snack and drink some water and see how you feel.
I do think some of the thirst thing can be just lack of salt intake for some people, though. I do think that, and that could even be potentially part of the hunger is because you're craving salty foods. I do think actually quite a few people are under drinking water and under consuming salt. Quite a few people, not everybody. Not people that are eating like lots of chips.
But, salt has definitely been demonized too much. My salt is stupid high.
Yeah.
And mine, like, I feel better when mine's really high. I just usually don't bother that much. But like every meal I eat, Emily puts salt on it, no matter what it is. And every meal I eat that, I'm doing anything with, I add salt to it. And often I'm adding more salt than after she salts my food, I put more salt on it. And my blood pressure's better on it. Seen it fix a lot of people's blood pressure.
Yeah.
Go get mad about it, doctors. Like just salt harming people's blood pressure does happen. It's very rare. It's very, very rare. There are people like that. I get it. It's true. But it's very rare. Most people just need to increase their salt and water intake and eat less processed food. Their blood sugar or blood pressure will actually often get better under those circumstances. It's just less inflammation, less water retention.
Yep.
Cool. So the final one, stress and emotion-based eating. So a lot of this is self-awareness based and just understanding, kind of like we talked about before, like if you don't get enough sleep, being aware that like, I'm going to be hungry. Also being aware that like life's a little bit tougher right now, or life's tough this day, or whatever it is, or I'm concerned about this thing. Part of it is actually like dealing with that, whatever the thing is. And for those of us that are Christians, like actually anxiety is often a manifestation of a lack of trust in God. But, when you have a ton of stuff to do, there's pressure and stress and things like that. And recognizing that for what it is and going, this is just the stress talking. I don't actually need food right now. I just need to deal with this thing or whatever it is. I think that's really kind of a big key. A lot of what we see. So I would say almost everybody, and Amanda, I would just bet that you'd say, yeah, same. Almost everyone I've worked with that's morbidly obese stress eats. It's just you don't have the desire to eat that much food that consistently for that long, because to become morbidly obese takes years and years. It takes years and years of over consuming, and you don't have to over consume a ton every day. It's just like, yeah, but that extra 30 calories for 20 years, or 300 calories, not 30. It's not really not going to do anything, but like that extra 300 calories, which is not that much junk food, for 20 years per day averaged out, that's a lot of body fat. And usually you just don't have the drive for it if you don't have that hardwired stress eating food response. It just really, really drives a lot of people to eat more, even sometimes more whole foods than they should be eating, because it feels comforting. There's the dopamine you get from food. And I think for some people that's extra profound, the effect that it has for them. So, and
it's very difficult when you've taught yourself or had this become a habit of turning the noise down. It's very difficult to get the food thoughts just out of your head. And it kind of just spirals on itself. It might have been something that you learned when you were young. Parents are having a stressful day, so they pick up pizza for everybody on the way home. And, that just becomes such a regular behavior that now it's what you do when you're stressed. You go get some comfort food. Comfort food is named comfort food for a reason. Like it's something that people turn to feel better. So, and it can be, this is to make me feel better at first. And then it's, well, now I'm going to eat this because I hate myself and I'm never going to get out of this cycle. And then, then sometimes it's a celebration of something, but it's just what you always go to. It's the end point of everything.
Yeah.
If it's
happy, it's like what you celebrate
food.
with,
Sad, it's
what
food.
you compensate with. It's when you're happy, it's when you're sad. It's, it's like the go-to.
Yeah. The like quintessential story I think of with this topic is from a client, and I don't think she'll mind at all us sharing, but like she was just starting to work on these things, starting to notice she had some, I would say like emotional eating habits where, something pops in your head, you feel something, and your first thought is literally food. So she was just starting to notice these things, and something happened. I believe it was that their kitchen flooded. Like they had been out, they came home, and everything was just like flooded. So obviously immediately very stressful, frustrating, disappointing, all that stuff. And she was like, my first thought was, oh my goodness, we should get Taco Bell. And I don't say that to like make fun of her at all, but for her, it was this light bulb moment of like, oh my goodness, I felt stress. I was not hungry at all, like before I walked in the door. And yet my first thought was like, oh, Taco Bell would make this better right now. And she's like, that is so not what I need to do. Like we need to get some towels. We need to call a plumber. We need to look around like the house and see what needs to get up, but it was really good because she had already been practicing being self-aware. So when that hit like a ton of bricks, she was like, oh, this is something I do like all the time. It just it looked super obvious in that moment because it was such a stark contrast.
Yeah. I do think a lot of people that struggle with this food drive as well, what I've noticed is that they're maybe subconsciously aware that they're doing it if they're not really that aware yet, because a lot of them will have this behavior that they'll pick up fast food by themselves and eat it in their car by themselves. Like nobody's with them. Nobody's seeing them do this. They're aware that it's off. So they're doing it alone. Like if you get to the point where you're doing these things alone, this is also, kind of going back to the alcohol conversation. If you're drinking alone, you have a problem. So
not every time.
Not every time. It's not like a blanket across the board. But honestly, that's how your habit has evolved too. Like if that's what you're doing is it's alone.
Like there's kind of a shame.
Recognize there's something.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. There's a shame, that an unacknowledged shame sort of that's implied.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Definitely.
So that's where it's time to do business with the source. Why do you feel like you have to do this to yourself? So
yeah. And one of the big things that we talk to people about is like, okay, now that you can see that, you recognize it, like make a plan for next time that happens. Like go for a walk or go pray, go talk to your spouse and say like, hey, I really want to eat that bag of chips right now because this stressed me out. Like talk me through it, or go, some people I've had even like, go make a mark on the fridge to say like, hey, I had that craving and I got over it. Even just having something to do instead of go pounding the ice cream or the bag of chips or something like that. Like make a plan. Instead of doing that thing, I'm going to go do this over here,
Yeah, it's a lot easier to fix a habit if you kind of replace it with something, even as minor, as you said, marking a tally on the fridge or something. It's still something that you're replacing the habit with, as small as it sounds. And it makes it easier to do than leaving a void.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You're like cementing something, I think, both in your mind and in your habits.
Yeah, I think that covers it pretty well. So if you're someone that struggles with food drive, we do help people with that, obviously. So if you'd like not just a program but some guidance, like these, figuring out which of these apply to you is a fairly in-depth conversation because people are complicated. So if you're looking for help navigating this type of thing, of course, feel free to reach out to us, highcallingfitness.com or on one of the socials, and we'd be happy to have that discussion with you. It's a significant issue in America. That's why obesity is going up like crazy. And with it, infertility and all sorts of other metabolic disease, everything else, quality of life just goes down when you're not getting this right. And And food drive is what's sort of ultimately behind it, in the sense that, like, if you didn't have the drive, you wouldn't overeat. And that's true of every obese American, which is over half of them now. So anyway, we'd love to help you. But until then, we'll see you guys next week. Gains and grace.
Gains and grace.
Gains and grace.